Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Behind the Bench Coaches Show presented by Mike Costello Law. We appreciate you being here, listening in, and we're back at it again this week. We're joined by head coach Jerome Bechard and the captain, Josh Pietrantonio, stepping in to join us. And guys, how's it going? Boomer?
Well, the sun's out. I got a coffee in hand. Josh Pietrantonio, my captain's here. Life couldn't be better.
It is really nice out, actually. I heard Petro said a few of the boys may or may not have hit the links after practice today. So
I guess they somewhat deserve it. I don't know.
Ish.
Oh yeah, they earned it. All right.
Look, it's just another workout, right? You know, physical activity. That's how I'm going to sell it. That's all I can.
You know what? It's good to.
I'm sure they're walking too, right? So they're getting their cardio on.
Yeah. No, it's good to get out of the rink, clear your mind, and all that stuff. So it's good. It's good for the guys. Good mental health.
Well, I mean, you do have to strike that balance, right? Yeah.
You got to get your vitamin
D from the sunshine.
Get the sun, hopefully they got some sunscreen on and, all that stuff or whatever. But
Okay, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a moment just because we got an hour. But so living in Arizona, I learned two things. Number one, when it is over 100 degrees, you do not walk playing golf. I made that mistake my very first weekend there. Second was that when you live in a sunny climate like that and you tend to wear a lot of sunscreen, you don't get enough vitamin D because the sunscreen blocks your absorption of vitamin D. So there are actually big-time vitamin D deficiencies in people who live in Sunbelt states if they wear a lot of sunscreen. I happen to be one of them. This is how I learned this.
See, I've got that olive skin, so I don't wear sunscreen.
Must be nice.
I don't burn.
I do a little bit. Anyways.
I'm the pasty white Irish guy.
I just crisp up, and that's about it.
And then you're good to go for the summer.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. So as we jump in here, let's start with the news of the day. The River Dragons end up making a move, and Schmitty goes to Elmira for future considerations. And Boomer, I know we'll go into this on the TV Coaches Show, which airs, by the way, on Thursday and then again on Saturday morning on CTN Channel 16. But I just wanted to cover it. I know a lot of the fans have had their comments about it, but I mean, Schmitty's 37. He wants to be in a situation where he could play. And again, Jeff Krupp, COO, said he felt compelled to try to help him get into that situation.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, this weekend in itself, with 3 games, 3 nights against Delaware, theoretically, well, they are the last place team. I think they played better. Like again, we talked about it earlier. Everybody's getting better. A last place team isn't a last place team. Points wise, they may be that way, but with the games being bigger as far as point-wise, for us to stay in first place and stay above the league. And then, 2, with it being military night and being a big night and just with the atmosphere and all that stuff, everybody wanted to play. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get Schmitty in, and, he was, I get it, upset with his playing time over the last 2-3 weeks, and he hasn't played. And there's probably more to it than that, but at the same time, you know what? We're here to win hockey games, and I love Schmitty. I know he's a fan favorite. I know he gives everything you got. If it's enough, it may not be enough at some points, but he gives everything you got. He protects the guys. He keeps everyone safe. He entertains the crowd. He loves the kids. Everyone loves him. This is life. This is hockey. We're here to win hockey games. It's unfortunately not a what's the word I'm looking for? Popularity contest. If that was the case, MGM would still be here. Marquise Grant Mantis, same thing. I mean, at the end of the day, same thing happens. Same thing happened, but on 2 different reasons why. So anyways, obviously talked to Smitty this morning before, he's pulling out of town, and, hey, we're still good friends. I still want the best for him. I want him to do well wherever he goes, and whether it's in hockey and whether it's not in hockey, it's in his life. I just want him to be happy and healthy and, go on from there. And if he can be happy and be an impact on another franchise in our league to get them where they need to be, so be it, and that's great for them.
Absolutely. And we wish them the best of luck, but by the same token, I mean, this is a roster right now that's pretty packed to the gills anyway. I mean, you have difficult choices to make every night.
Well, I mean, this weekend in itself was, just tough. Just tough. We had a mixed bag of positive and negatives on the weekend. I think the positives were weigh out the negatives. I think we've learned, hopefully we've learned a lot about ourselves, how we have to handle certain situations. We are not going to have a cakewalk to the finals or into the playoffs. You have to pay for everything that's good in life. You have to pay for it. And winning is the same thing. We can't just throw our sticks out there and expect to win. We have to expect to win, and we have to pay for the price to win. With our lineup in general, we have a stable full of horses. And you know what? There's guys that maybe as a coach, and this is my strength and weakness. And this is how I coach, and whether you like it or not, that's just how it happens. You know what? There's guys on the team that, for whatever reason, may be struggling, maybe not having the best weekend or this and that. But I'm playing my odds that, that 30-goal guy or that 50-point guy is going to produce. Is it going to happen all the time? Maybe, maybe not. But at the same time, do I take the chances of disrupting the whole kind of the whole lineup just to please somebody else? And at that point, there's a bunch of guys to try to please because everyone can play. And, there's guys that deserve, and some guys, they all deserve to play. Nobody's playing in the Federal League to, sit in the stands.
Absolutely. Well, nobody wants to sit. You want to play, right? I mean, that's part of it. So,
and if I keep going on it, I mean, I think if there is an issue, if there's an issue on here, I mean, and again, I love every single one of my players. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. I think everybody's weakness is similar, and their weakness is they think that they're better than what they are, and that's not a knock on anybody. And I don't, how do I put it? Not better than what they are, but I think they all want to produce in a different, in the same way, and that's scoring goals. And because they try so hard on one play, it's actually a negative. If you're following kind of what I'm trying to low down, it's are you following me?
Yes. So what you're saying is they all have these visions of glory, and you're going out hard after whatever you want to score on every single play. You can't score on every single play, and sometimes guys are just overdoing it. Military night was a perfect example.
Yes.
That first period, especially the first couple of shifts, everybody wanted to be the guy that sent everybody crazy and made everything happen with a highlight reel goal, and it's like there's 5 people out here.
Right.
Pass the puck.
Yeah. No, and you know what? And at the same time, like throughout the weekend, we had some of the best puck moving sequences that we've had all year.
Yeah.
Like some of the best. And then you have that, and and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and you have nothing to show for it. That's where the frustration kicks in, and that's when guys tend to even start to do more and push more and make themselves look worse because they're pushing more and they're trying to do way too much on their own as opposed to dispersing it and this and that. So, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered a lot.
What you said.
I'm gonna backtrack a little bit here and go back to Schmitty. He's one of those guys that, I mean, he's got the hardest job in hockey. I don't care what anyone says. He goes out, he battles for the boys. In my experiences, those guys that go out and wear their heart on their sleeve like that tend to be the nicest guys off the ice, and because of that, become fan favorites. And he was great to us. I love him. He's a brother for life. He's one of those guys that you don't come across too often. He'll definitely always be a part of Columbus hockey history. But with that being said, he deserves to be in a situation where he can help someone else. He came here. He helped us. He helped us go on a hell of a run last year. It was unbelievable and got us in a position this year to go hopefully back and finish some unfinished business. But for him personally, I'm glad he's getting an opportunity to go do that somewhere else and have a little bit more of a leadership role and kind of take some young guys under his wings and going into a young team. So obviously wish him the best, and we'll always be in touch with him. And then touching on the weekend we just had, yeah, I mean, playing in those games, especially playing against a team that's a little bit short-staffed, a little bit banged up, you got a lot more time and space than you typically do. And with that comes mistakes and errors because you have that time and space and you realize you have that time and space early, and it's like, oh, instead of making the easy 5-foot play, I got time to look around and see what else is available. And by the time you look around, that first play is not available anymore, and you kind of back yourself in a little bit of a corner. So I think when you play games like that, you get away from playing simple hockey, and that's what ends up hurting us in the long run. And I think as the weekend went on and as the games went on, there were spurts where we were just overlooking the simple assignments and getting hungry and pushing forward, and everyone wanted to.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, kind of stretching a little bit more than I would like. Again, guys think they're in the right position. And we're breaking out, and my winger's at the blue line as opposed to the hash mark, and then you wonder why you get a bad pass, and then you have to dig it off the boards, and you're standing still, and you're trying to make a play standing still, turn the puck over, and it comes back this way, and it's little things like that. We are off for whatever reason, and then you go to the fact that guys are short staffed or whatever, Delaware short staffed or whatever. If it's the right guys that are playing, and if it's the right guys that you lose, and you got their best players on the ice every second shift, that helps them. And sure. Especially if you're in shape to do it, and they did that. But I mean, again, it goes back to they're all little things. Like this is everything we did. Positives, guys. We never quit. We could have 3 games in 3 nights. Good things, bad things happen, and it's a flip of the dice. We're up 2-0. Could easily. It could have been a Saturday night and kept on going. Their goalie played phenomenal, better than the guy before, than 2 nights before, and it easily could have been 5-0, 6-0 going into the third period easily, and it wasn't. Their goalie kept them in the game, and then they score 2 quick ones. They score a third, and we're down by 1 with 8 minutes left to go in the third period. We could have. A lot of teams shut down, and that's it, especially in 3 games in 3 nights, and I'm like, guys, just stick with the process. Good things will start to come happening. And then in the back of my mind, I got guys previously are like, well, I'm not getting my ice time. I'm not doing this and that. So I'm trying to juggle it. And 2 trains of thought as a coach. I'm like, okay, you're struggling. Here's your chance to be a hero. Play the hell out of them. And I was, and then it wasn't happening. And I'm like, okay, now I got to change that up and throw some other guys out there and change things up. And obviously, we get a late goal. We get a late goal by Austin Doe to tie things up, which, he had a good weekend. Josh Undy had a really good weekend and get us rolling. And then, go into overtime and shootout.
How about that play with like 8 seconds left, the hometown bounce off the boards that Grex pulled out front and it just kind of rolled on him. Oh man,
Yeah.
that would have been the cherry on top of the weekend.
Yeah.
And of course that puck rolls and the goalie sees it at the last second and gets over. But
Yeah. So, anyways, positives. We stuck with it. I think we learned, some adversity. Things aren't always going to go your way as a player and as a line or whatever. And one line doesn't have a good night. That's all right. It is all right.
Sure. It's going to happen.
I think Jacob Kelly, Teal, they're not happy with how they played this weekend, right? They scored, I think, one maybe this weekend, which is fine, and they're usually scoring 2 and 3 a night, and all of a sudden the faucet turned off, and they're not, and then they're on for 3 on Friday night. They're on for another big one on Saturday or on Sunday against, and they're not feeling it. What does Jacob Kelly go do? Goes and scraps. That's out of character. You need that, but that's you need to fulfill a different role sometimes when things aren't going your way. And hey, if you ain't scoring, just don't get scored on. That's all. Somebody else will, with our team, somebody else will pick up that slack. And we've been lucky enough all year long that that's happened. I mean, so anyways.
Well, let's take a break right there. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on. And also, since we have you here, Petro, I want to dig into how your line's been doing. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So stay tuned. We have more of the Behind the Bench Coaches Show coming your way in just a moment, presented by Mike Hostelow Law. Welcome back here on the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. Tom Callahan here with you, joined by head coach Jerome Bechard and our captain Josh Pietrantonio. And we're talking some River Dragons hockey right now. And guys, again, thanks for being here. Petro, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your lines. Kind of picked it back up here. And Dozer got that late goal to tie things up there, and didn't even have to pull the goaltender to pull it off. But you guys seem to be having a little bit of a rejuvenation here.
Yeah, we talked about it. Honestly, early, like me, Doze, and Undy, there was a point we started off pretty decent, and then we got cold. And then it was kind of like all of us coming together and like being adults about it and talking about it and just being like, hey, boys, like for whatever reason, we're not clicking right now. Let's shake things up. So Undy came off our line for a bit. And I remember specifically sitting there and telling both of them, like, hey, sometimes you just need a reset. Like, you just need a reset. So Undy was separated from me and Doze, and then I went back to D for almost 2 months. And then I think all of our games kind of developed and evolved in different ways, and we kind of grew within ourselves and grew as players. And then when you bring it all back together, we come back into the old things and we see new things. And I mean, it seems to be working. I think the only difference between the start of the year and now is me and Undy flip-flopped, and I'm in the middle now, whereas he was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
What?
I agree with everything you said. I think and this isn't a slight on Undy or whatever. I think you were able to disperse the puck quicker either way, in a little bit more efficient manner than Undy. Undy likes to have it, and he likes to, he's fighting away from a guy, and he's a strong skater, but he tends to lean in and win that battle, and he's got a guy dragging on to him, and he's still kind of holding the puck, where you can do the same thing, but you kind of chip it away and get it out quicker or whatever. And I'll be honest with you, you have gone from a different level. You weren't at the same level at the beginning of the year that you are now, mentally, physically, whatever. And you've been through some shit. You've been through some stuff,
some things.
but you've elevated your game, and you basically hit a switch and said, I've had enough, and I'm going to go out and somewhat do it, not myself, but I'm going to take things in control. If that does, I don't know, because it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, because you're always telling me you want me angry before games. You want me
right. Yeah.
playing in some type of way.
Well, and angry. You know, obviously, hate is probably a really bad word, but it's an emotion, and you're not out there to hurt anybody, but you're out there. It gets you rolling, and you know, hey, that's my puck. I want to fight for it.
Playing with fire in the belly.
And over the last month, your passion, for whatever reason, has gone up, and that's brought Dozer up and Undy up at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, early on I was battling some
things.
Yeah, battling some stuff, and
I
was playing timid because of it, because
right.
I really didn't know.
Right.
Where I was at and what was going on and all that kind of stuff.
And now you throw in some of the stuff that we've been working on, trying to spread people out, trying to create time and space for ourselves. You guys are getting it, and you guys are creating that time and space, which is opening up good, clear looks, as opposed to, you know, hey, we're carrying it all the way to the corner. I'm dragging two guys with me, and now it's a 2-on-2 battle in the corner all the time. We're throwing that puck around and spreading people out, defenders, and that's where you're good. That's where Dozer needs some room to get the big body rolling and get his hips open and all that stuff.
I mean, Undy came in last year, and he was our Swiss Army knife. He was our utility guy. He bounced around and was playing with all sorts of different guys. And me and Dozer kind of play a certain type of way. Like, we're older guys. We slow the game down at certain aspects and stuff like that. And I mean, this is, I think, year 4 of me and Doze playing together. So I'm at the point with him, and this is where I feel like I have a little bit of an advantage over Undy in my game playing with those three, is I can have Doze on my blind side, and I don't necessarily have to look all the time to know where he's going to be. I know where he is. I know his tendencies. I know where he's going to be. So I can look one way and see where Undy is, and I already know what's going on over there because I know where Dozer is. Whereas Undy playing with us at the beginning, we were both completely new to him. Our style of game was something that he wasn't familiar with because he hadn't played with us before. So I think that's where he almost lost a step in the process because he didn't know where we were going to be, and he had to look both ways before he made his decision. Whereas I can come out, see Undy, I already know where Dozer is, so I've got an extra half second to make that decision because I only need half the information to process everything that he does, if that makes sense.
Go with that, yeah. No, it makes total sense. You've been playing with somebody long enough, you figure out a lot of things about their game, and yeah, you do develop that. And I can see what you're saying, especially when you're playing center, right? Because there's, and for people who don't know, I mean, maybe there's people new to hockey listening. Talk a little bit about the difference between playing center and playing wing.
You know what? I mean, you have a little bit more responsibility. You're skating, you know, more times than not, your centermen are a little bit more defensive, not defensive minded, but, you know, their role is to support the defense down low and all that stuff. So, and they usually have really good vision and have really good awareness of where everybody is on the ice at that time, kind of thing. So, and not that Undy is all that, his awareness, and he knows where he is, and he's a workhorse. He's probably one of the best conditioned guys on the team. You know, he's a guy that could probably do a 2 and 3 minute shift if you needed to, where we just talked about that this morning. Don't want that, but he's definitely capable of doing that. So, I mean, and as a winger, hey, it's a lot easier. Yeah, I mean, you know, you come back and you got this spot over here and blah, blah, blah. You know, somebody get me the puck and I'm going to disperse it, kind of thing. So you have a little less responsibility, but, you know, anyways.
And you got to get somebody to take the draws.
Well, and that's another thing. I mean, our face-offs are average at best in general. Petro's pretty good on draws. I know. I mean, throughout the season so far, I haven't really zoned in on face-offs, and I just let our centermen take it or whatever. But I mean, coming down the stretch, I know I took a couple guys off face-offs, and right away I could see a scowl on a face. I'm like,
well, there was one.
I'm like, win a draw, and don't give me the scowl. I mean,
right.
Win a draw, win more than 50%, and you won't be coming off.
You know what? I have to give you kudos because it was in the defensive zone. It was during the 4-on-4, and I'm not trying to be polite. I legitimately don't remember who you pulled off, but they had lost the previous two. Okay, so Storage lost the previous two, and then you just pulled them out and said, nope, that's it.
It was Storjahan or Wickline, one of the two.
Right, you broke up your 2-on-2 pair, or your 4-on-4, basically your forward pair that you had out there in order to get the draw win, and you got the draw win.
It was Storj, and I'm like, hey, dude, he's coming right off. I mean, he's getting the face off, and you're going right back. So,
right, and then you won that draw.
Yeah, and I mean, and anyway, so everyone from here on in, I've been kind of morphing into that playoff kind of mentality and mode, and I'm like, guys, check your egos. Check your egos. Everyone's saying the right things, but your actions, when you're not out there, aren't showing me that you're bought in and you want to win a championship. I mean, look in the mirror. That's all I ask. Look in the mirror. If you're competing on both ends of the ice and you're not scoring tonight, but you can't be a defensive hazard, keep playing. If you're a defensive hazard and you're not scoring, then is it my fault that you're going to be sitting? I don't know.
I mean that. So
it's easy to talk about and say, but it's a whole lot harder to implement. And again, that's my style, and that's my fault for maybe not sticking with it from day one, because now I've set a standard anyways.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we got a few guys in our team, well, more than a few actually. We got a bunch of guys in our team with rings, and I mean, I think back to my 2 championships, and first one we won, I couldn't tell you how many points I had in the season. The second one I won, which was here, I can tell you exactly how many points I had in the season. 13. I was probably in our bottom 5 when it came to points, but I wasn't getting scored on. So at the end of the day, when push comes to shove and you're 20 years down the road and you're remembering championships, it don't matter if you had 10 points or if you had 100 points. The only thing that you're going to remember is the ring. And I think the sooner that mentality gets adapted, the better off we're going to be moving forward, because realistically, think about going into a shootout on Sunday night. If I told you we're going into a shootout Sunday night, who are you picking to be the hero in the shootout?
Probably Kelly.
Before the
just
game.
Based on goals.
Kelly, Storge,
right.
Doze. It was Nelly. Right?
Right.
That's good instinct right there, boys.
Yeah, you had the number generator on your phone. You were just put all the boys' name in a hat, and we're pulling them out.
Look up and down the bench. Do we have a 26? Oh, we do. All right, Nelly, you're up.
No, but at the end of the day, any guy can be the hero on any night.
Sure.
So the only thing that matters at the end of it all is getting the win and winning the championship. Like last year, the championship we lost, I would have put all my money that Justin McDonald would have either scored the game-winning goal once we got into overtime or assisted it had we lost. No, Lane King. Right? Like, it really doesn't matter. As long as someone's getting the job done, it doesn't matter. Everybody's a hero if you're winning successfully as a team.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, we need to have the end goal be more important than the personal goal. The team goal needs to come before the personal goal, the stats. I get it. We're all trying to, well, most guys are trying to move up and get to the next level, and that's part of minor league hockey. And I hope all guys are able to do that. But when I've talked to coaches in higher leagues, they value championships more than individual stats. If you come to a coach next year and say, hey, I had 50 points last year, but we won a championship, you're getting a better opportunity than someone that comes in and says, hey, I had 80 points last year, but I was minus 20 and we lost every game. Because at the end of the day, culture is contagious and winning is contagious, and teams at every level want that in their locker room. They want that drive, that fire, that I'm not bigger than the team mentality. The team goal is bigger than my personal goal mentality. And that's what a lot of guys in our room do have that. And when I say a lot of guys in our room do have that, every guy in our room has that in spurts. You'll hear the odd, oh, I want to hit my point goal, my personal goal, and stuff like that. And I mean, that's all fine and dandy as long as it doesn't come at the expense of the team. As long as that you're at 99 goals and you're looking to get your 100th goal and you're not playing defense because you're just cherry picking looking for that.
As long as your goal, personal goal, was realistic. Just a caveat there.
I mean, even if it's not realistic, that's fine. Just don't put it at the expense of the team.
Right. No, I totally agree. I mean, hey, if more times than not, if a team goal is met, your personal goals are going to come along, and they're more than likely going to be met.
Yeah.
Now, as a player, if my goal was I'm going to score 45 goals this year, and knowing who I am, unrealistic. Now, hey, chip in as a D-man. If I chip in 5 to 10 and I'm plus 35, that's realistic. I mean, obviously this league is a goal-scoring league, and we got blowouts and this and that or whatever. But on average, in a good league and a good team, you're playing 52 to 56 games. Like the top echelon team, if you score 225 goals in that year, you're going to be on the top of the echelon and probably do pretty well as a team. Now, as you're putting your team together, I'm like, okay, well, Petro's good for 20. J. Krupp, let's give him 15. Storjahan, 20. LaBelle, I'm going to give him 5. Greco, 5 to 10, because you maybe play a little bit of power play down low, and at the end of the day, you add all that up, and you have 225 goals. That's how I put it. That's how I put a team in the past together, and again, be realistic. And you know what? You might have a Jacob Kelly that you didn't know, and then there's your 30 guy, or your probably close to 40 by the end of the year, type thing. So. Again, personal and they should all be intertwined, and we're getting to where we need to be. And again, the process, every game, hey, process, stick with it, boys. Same thing with the league itself, all the way to the finals, guys. This is a process. Like, we learned something this weekend about ourselves. Adversity, guys. We got to pull together as to come apart. It's not going to go well all the time, and it doesn't matter who you're playing, whether it's the last place team or the team that you're battling for second place with. I mean, you're going to have adversity, and how you handle it is going to define how far you go.
And the other thing too is, I think sometimes guys don't realize 21 and 28 and 31 and 38 are kind of the same number. You're a 20 goal, you're a 30 goal guy. Like, is the team winning 5 more games because you're scoring 7 more goals? Maybe, maybe not. But by the same token, if you're turning those into assists, or if you're turning those into pluses,
and the other stat is, hey, we scored 9 goals the other night. We only needed 1.
Right.
So, to me, the most as far as goals wise, the goals that I want, first goals, tying goals, game winners. If we're up 6-0, I couldn't care less about the next 3 goals already. I mean, those are all fluff and blah, blah, blah and all that stuff. I mean, that's not important to me. I want game winners. I want first goals. I want tying goals. And then, the goal, the game winner or the ones that get you over the top. 3-3, who scored the fourth goal? That's the goals that, I want big players, big times. That's the stat that I look at. So if you want to put your pencil to the paper, Tom, tomorrow, you can let me know.
And get into that one. All right. We do need to take a break, guys. We're a little behind on these, so we'll come right back with more in just a moment. It's the Behind the Bench Coaches Show presented by Mike Costello Law. And welcome back to the Behind the Bench Coaches Show presented by Mike Costello Law. Our thanks to our many fine sponsors indeed here of not only the show but also River Dragons Hockey. Our next game coming up on Friday night is on the road, 8:05 p.m. start against the Mississippi Seawolves. And then we're back home March 3rd and 4th, Friday and Saturday, to host the Binghamton Black Bears team. We haven't seen it all this season, so that'll be another entertaining one. And joined, as always, by head coach Jerome Bechard, and this week's player guest is Captain Josh Pietrantonio. Guys, before we talk about Mississippi coming up here, so I've been telling Petro we're going to do the segment all year. I told him, I said, I want to do a thing called Petro Ponders, and it can just be the random stuff that you think about sometime. But boom, I think this is a good one for you to be here for, because, Josh, explain this random rule/play that is in the FPHL rules and how it generates face-offs in different spots.
Are you talking
I'm
about
talking about the attempt on goal.
Okay. So it is a vaguely worded rule that I still can't wrap my head around because I'm getting different answers depending on the night. But the rule states any attempt on goal in order to generate more offense now becomes a draw in the offensive zone. Now, any attempt on goal that goes out of play becomes a draw in the offensive zone. I have seen a quote-unquote shot attempt come from center ice that went straight up into the net that turns into a draw in the offensive zone. I have seen a shot attempt from center ice that goes straight up into the net that turns into a draw in the neutral zone. Now, I can't remember it was a game in Mississippi. Can't remember who the ref was, but he told me that the rule states any attempt on goal, does not matter where it's from, results in a face-off in the attacking zone. So I said, if I come across my blue line and take an attempt at net that goes straight into the crowd, where's that face-off? Because technically by rule, that is an icing that's uncompleted. And he said, no, that's an icing. I said, but is it? Because there's no tag up. So by your rule, that should be a draw in the attacking zone. Now, if I back it up even further, if I'm inside my blue line and I shoot that puck at the net and it goes over the goalie's head and into the mesh, now that's a penalty against us. So,
or is it?
Is that a penalty against us? Or is that an attempt on goal that comes into the offensive zone? So,
I think we just wasted like a minute and a half of her life. It doesn't matter.
Until it works against you, and then it's going to matter.
All legitimate, all legitimate. But I mean, if I take a shot from inside my blue line and it goes all the way down, that's an icing, all day long.
It's not an icing if it goes out of play.
It's a penalty.
What if you're outside the blue line? Not a penalty anymore. Still should be an icing, but the icing's not completed. So where are you going to put that draw?
Well, one, if it was on net.
No, not on net.
If it was on net, the goalie would have touched it.
Correct.
If it's at the net and it goes over the net and hits the glass, it's not a. It's
no.
Not
We're
a
talking
shot
about
on net.
pucks that go out of play.
So you airmail it over the goalie's head into the netting.
Into the netting.
Not even touch the glass.
Just like any other call in all of hockey, it is what I saw, was that an attempt shot or was that a clear shot? It's my interpretation of what that play was. And every ref is going to have every interpretation something different, and that's the problem with having a 4-man system with all these rules. One guy's calling a different standard, the other guy's not, blah, blah, blah. That's my answer to the Petro Ponder.
Either way, my argument is that is never to be called an icing because the icing was not completed.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I could see it going both ways.
Just line up and drop the puck, win the face-off. It doesn't really matter. That's
true.
All, let's go.
True, but I think it's interesting that they leave it so vague in this case. Why wouldn't you more clear write 2 more sentences and clearly define the case? Why wouldn't you do that?
That'd be too easy.
I
we wouldn't have a 5-minute segment on something to talk about.
I think personally, I think the rule should be any attempt on net in the attacking zone results in an offensive zone draw. I think anything outside of the blue line is no longer considered an attempt on net if it goes straight out.
You know what? I think that's what the intention of the rule is, probably.
And that's what I think the rule should be called as. Because otherwise, I'll just exploit it all day.
If you get a guy who calls it that way, yes. Right, you got to get a guy first.
Again,
of all,
if I've been on the ice for a minute and I step across our blue line and I know I am not getting the red, just rip it into the stands. It's not an icing.
Yeah, get a face-off.
Face off, get the change.
Get a face-off.
Fresh legs.
Wherever the face-off is, doesn't really matter.
Right, because at least it's outside of your defensive zone, first of all. No. And you're not getting the delay penalty. Yep. Speaking of which, do you agree with automatic delay a game?
Shooting the puck over?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Automatic, no room for interpretation. Just automatic. That's what I'm asking is.
I like it.
You do.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. It takes away that gray area that we're just talking about. It takes away, was it deliberate? Was it intentional? Was it not? If the puck goes directly off your stick out of play in the D zone, I like it. It's a penalty.
Okay.
You used to do it all the time.
That's right. Before that was a rule. And
now, if you're really smart, you just rip it into the bench.
Yes. Because as I found out, they have to give you the glass all the way around. And I found that out as a player one time when I thought I put my team down late in the game. And they're like, nope. It went into the bench. You get the glass all the way around.
So I had,
I
believe I was playing Carolina. Guy ripped the puck from the D zone into the bench that was going to clear the glass in the bench, and someone reached their stick up on the bench and jumped and got enough of it to keep it in the bench, and they had no choice but to not give us a penalty because the guy was out of the play.
If you really ponder it, like, I mean, if you put glass all the way around and the glass is
the same level
in front of the bench, more than likely would have hit the glass. So,
no. This puck was a solid foot over the glass.
Well, anything,
and the guy jumped with his stick full extension and knocked.
Yeah, but if it's going over the boards and if the glass was there, the make pretend glass was there, like in front of the bench, like.
I still think this puck would have gone over.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying, but I still think this puck would have gone over, and it was a penalty save.
Here's the thing: it wouldn't have mattered anyway because it hit someone on the bench. That's an automatic whistle.
Right.
Correct. But had he jumped up and missed that puck with his stick, it would have cleared the glass, and it would have been a penalty. So it was a heads-up play / lucky, fortunate bounce that ended up saving a penalty, which I thought was pretty cool.
All of these little things that are just kind of Boomer's like,
we got a lot. We got a lot of time on our hands.
We got a lot of time.
Boomer's busy selling houses and coaching teams and babysitting.
Speaking of which, by the way, it's good that you bring it up. Youth Hockey Night is coming up March 3rd. So I did want to talk about that a little bit. And Columbus Youth Hockey, Petro, you're always out there. You're skating with the kids and trying to help them out. I mean, growing the game.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a community where everybody plays hockey. That's what you do. You're young, you get on the ice. To be down here and to see the way the game's grown, even in the small amount of time I've been here, is unbelievable. Like, that Learn to Skate program on Thursday nights has got like over 70 kids in it. And those are 70 kids that, I mean, without hockey in Columbus, without us having a team and a rink here, would never get a chance to play the game down here. They really wouldn't. So to see that and people getting excited about it, and kids that would never get an opportunity to play this game, to get out there and skate is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And, well, why don't we're going to keep rolling.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Mississippi coming up on Friday. We haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, you know what, Mississippi, Mississippi's, I haven't seen them in a while. They've got a couple new guys, but for the most part, the nucleus is the same. I think the last time we played them, their Russian phenom, Yevdokimov, or whatever his name was hurt.
Yevdokimov.
Sorry.
Or Yevdokimov.
Yeah, he was injured. I know he scored a couple big goals against Carolina this weekend. Yanni's playing well. Yanni shoots the puck from everywhere and behind the net, and usually goes in for however reason. And they play hard, and they play physical, so we got to be prepared. And the same way, keep rolling, and keep spreading them out. I think they play in their D zone. They play almost man on man, so we got to be careful with it and move that puck around and get them somewhat running around. So it'll be different.
Petro, do you when you see a team that many times at the beginning of the season, then you see them again towards the end? I mean, what's the thought process there where you finally get to go back and, oh, hey, we haven't seen these guys in a while?
In this league, there's so much movement that it's almost like seeing a team for the first time again. It's almost like seeing a brand new team. We're familiar with that rink now a little bit, I would say, whereas it's a tough rink to play in. It's hot in there. It's humid in there. They do a pretty good job of doing the best they can with keeping the ice up. But it's a tough rink to play in, especially for the first time. So I think we're kind of accustomed to playing in that rink. But the team we're playing, when we saw them a lot early in the year, it's a brand new franchise that's trying to find an identity and find their way. And I think they've put it together and kind of found themselves in that identity now. So it's like playing a brand new team. It's like playing a team for the first time. So we need to be prepared for anything and everything. And at the end of the day, if we follow our systems and play our game, it really shouldn't matter who we're playing against. We should be able to be successful.
All right. Well, on that, I'm going to let you guys go. We're going to hit one more break so I can sell some tickets. But Josh, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Boomer, as always.
You bet.
See you next week. All right. We'll be right back to wrap things up. This is the Behind the Bench Coaches Show presented by Mike Costello Law. And back here to wrap things up, Tom Callahan with you. Thank you so much for joining us here again. To Josh Pietrantonio, captain of the River Dragons, and of course, head coach Jerome Bechard. We're here every week talking a little River Dragons hockey for you. And I do want to remind you that, yes, this weekend the River Dragons are out on the road. However, we will be back on Friday and Saturday, March 3rd and 4th. Now, March 3rd, that's Youth Hockey Night coming up against Binghamton. And looking forward to seeing Binghamton come into town, first of all. But second of all, that is right now, if you are participating in youth hockey, there are some tickets available through your association, so please check on that. We want to give you the heads up there. Second of all, it's Next Gen Night on March 4th, and if you have a grade school age child, head to rdragons.com/nextgen. If you do that, you will find an application to jump on and help out and be a part of our game night staff. Everything from the broadcast, someone's going to help me out for the March 4th game. You're going to get to be on the air, call a little bit of the action, and I'll be right there with you. But we need PA announcers, camera operators, game ops people, all kinds of the in-arena host. If you want to try that out, if you want to be a part of it, or you know someone who does, rdragons.com/nextgen and fill out the app. All right, that's it for our Behind the Bench Coaches Show presented by Mike Costello Law. We appreciate you being here, folks. We will talk to you next week. Take care. And Friday night, we're in Mississippi to take on the Seawolves. 8:05 means 7:30 on the pregame show. This has been the Behind the Bench Coaches Show presented by Mike Costello Law.